In hysterics, the girl writes in her novel, on behalf of her heroine, where she complains to her teacher that she has been beaten. When Rongjin comes to visit her, and they talk about what happened, the teacher also comes to visit her. The athlete becomes jealous when she sees them talking. The three of them have dinner together. The teacher kisses Wanshu on the forehead and leaves after giving her a cute teddy bear charm. It would all be very romantic if the gift did not have a built-in hidden camera. We are shown the teacher watching the heroine from her phone. Reads a new chapter where the fictional teacher kills the novel's heroine's abuser and wallops her in a statue. Readers are given to understand that Wanshu's abuser, Ren Pingsheng, did the same to her abuser. The main character has already started walking, and when Rongjin is waiting for her at the notice board, watching the teacher in parallel. Wanshu slightly startled by her sudden appearance. All three say hello, and then the friends of the offender fly up to them, wondering where they have seen their friend. When Rongjin answers that such bitches usually hang out in bars and similar establishments. From Ren Pingsheng's recollection, we are told directly that it was she who killed that bitch. We are shown the statue that our sorceress made, showing that something has already begun to rot inside. Wanshu gets sick at the sight or smell of the statue, and the teacher volunteered to take care of it while talking about the profound meaning of this art. When Rongjin kicks the statue, and it begins to crack and everyone around it learns there is a corpse and calls the police. Wanshu and her teacher leave to recover. The heroine realizes she is being followed by a serial killer and repeats the murders from her novel. A sportswoman comes to them, informing them that the main character is called for questioning. The three of them go there where we meet a journalist we already know. Wanshu is expectedly summoned for interrogation. This is the second victim to be associated with Wanshu. Bai Kai suspects that the killer is related to the heroine. At the end, Ren Pingsheng gives his contacts to the journalist. Wanshu guesses that the killer knows her. Even though she has written about her abuser in a veiled way, he has no trouble figuring out who it is and killing her. You and I know who it is, but it's quite interesting to see Wanshu's mind engaged. In the comments on her novel, the girl is accused of being a murderer and the heroine is tilted by this. At the same time, the journalist conducts her own investigation, interviewing Wanshu's classmates. For you, I can only point out that, having removed one bitch, the author decided to add a new one who wants to do everything she can to get Wanshu accused of murder. Ren Pingsheng hangs a picture of the murdered girl on his wall, and lies there thinking about the journalist, noting that she is quite a smart woman. Then we are shown the scene where our black-haired woman already kills the reporter. If you thought the author flushed the character down the toilet, calm down, this is just Bai Kai's dream. We are shown how the new bitch shows signs of attention to the blonde and gives her flowers, who in turn throws them away. The teacher, in turn, resents the lack of new chapters of Wanshu's novel. Of course, at this point the heroine comes to her and asks for a day off. The teacher gives her the okay to do so, in parallel offering to spend Valentine's Day together. We are immediately thrown over there. The ladies had a great meal, watched a movie, and kissed at the end. The session lasted quite a while, so the couple went home to Ren Pingsheng. Upon arriving, the GG notices the same collar she was wearing at the beginning of the Manhua. The teacher went to bathe, and after a while asked the heroine to hand her a towel. When she approached, the black-haired woman dragged her into her shower stall. The ladies ended up being very tightly friends all night. That Wanshu even has a mark on her neck, and during the steam she ponders whether or not she loves her teacher. Well, she's willing to kill for you. Some unhealthy feelings she definitely has for you. Yeah, I still like talking to pictures. She is visited by Bai Kai, who discovers that GH is the author of the very novels from which the murderer draws her ideas. She assures the heroine that she is on her side and knows that she is not a murderer, but the journalist is convinced that the murderer is someone from the heroine's entourage. The bitch follower tries to accuse the heroine in front of everyone, but when Rongjin stands up for her, the journalist conducts her own investigation and calls Ren Pingsheng for a chat. We are also shown that the black-haired woman is the dumbest murderer in the world, who has pictures of her victims hanging all over the wall. At the meeting, they have a bit of a fight, discussing various moral and ethical issues. The new candidate for the nastiest girl in this Manhua beats Wanshu in the bathroom. The latter, almost unconscious, manages to call the teacher. Thanks to this, she wakes up in the infirmary, where Ren Pingsheng was patiently sitting with her. The teacher, who was unconscious, managed to call her and made her cry in her arms. The teacher subtly hints that she cannot change anything, for she is just a writer, but she can write it in her novel. The girl stays with her teacher for a couple of days, and, after a little hesitation, decides to finish her novel, pondering whether she is now also a murderer. In fact, the author plays with the viewer's perception. The girl, trying to understand the logic of the killer, ends her novel with a suicide scene of the main villain. Our teacher is so unhappy with this ending of the novel that she rushes home from the meeting. In a fit of rage, Ren Pingsheng beats Wanshu and handcuffs her to her bed. The black-haired woman plays with her victim. A quarrel ensues. Our maniac pulls a knife and realizing she might be killed, the town head tries to do her best not to be killed. The tormentor accidentally says she is talentless and starts to console the heroine, telling her she is a talented writer. Bai Kai, after reading the ending of the novel, is apparently the only one, unlike the police, who realizes that the heroine has annoyed the real killer. Wanshu is forced to come up with the perfect resurrection of the novel's hero. She refuses, and as punishment, the psychopath cuts off the heroine's finger, adding that the next time the girl will not get off so easily. Under torture, the protagonist agrees to finish everything, while Ren Pingsheng, pathetically smoking a cigarette, watches her. She is not satisfied with the result, plus Wanshu has left a hidden message of help, which has not gone unnoticed. And the black-haired woman declares that she wants to eat the heroine. Bai Kai notices that something strange is going on with the novel, and asks to be taken to the university. There she finds out that Wanshu is missing and hasn't shown up for class for a long time, and Ren Pingsheng turns on the fool very skillfully. We are also shown an uninteresting scene of the bitch being jealous of Wang. With this very friendly group, the four of them go to Wanshu's apartment. The girl herself is not, it turns out, inside. Amazing. The journalist calls the police and the teacher leaves. While in prison, Wanshu becomes hysterical and tries to escape, but her feet are chained together and she has a fever due to an infection, as if she has recently had her finger cut off. The main villainess appears, opens all the doors and offers Wanshu the opportunity to escape, but it all turns out to be a bluff. When salvation is already in front of her, the door closes. However, the next action shows that our heroine is not particularly clever. In a fit of anger, she shouts that she will kill Ren Pingsheng. The latter gives her a knife and says, "Come on," and the heroine, frightened by the easiest opportunity to escape, throws the weapon to the ground. Cringe. As punishment, Wanshu is raped, and the black-haired woman sits beside her smoking a cigarette and indulging in memories. After preparing a meal for the heroine, she leaves for work. On her way to the coffee shop, she wrote a love letter for her new victim, whom she wants to lure to the back of the uni building at night. The girl of course arrives, for she thinks it was Wen Rongjun who wrote the letter and gets hit over the head with a bat. She wakes up in an empty classroom chained to her desk, and of course the teacher did. While something interesting is going on there, we are thrown over to Wanshu, who is no longer trying to escape and is reading books from the lady's large assortment of hostesses. She also finds old records, where it turns out that the black-haired woman killed her first man as a child. But back to the interesting part. Ren Pingsheng beats his captive and they start playing Russian roulette. The black-haired girl takes the first shot at herself, but she's lucky, unlike her victim, because a nail flies right into her hand, chaining her to the desk even harder. The girl screams in pain. This is heard by Wen Rongjun, who comes into the classroom and is stunned with a taser. The athlete wakes up already in the street, sitting in front of the corpse of her acquaintance, which was decorated with roses. In the next chapter, we learn that the police suspect the heroine's best friend and have already detained her. Only the journalist is still suspicious of Ren Pingsheng. Bai Kai decides to interrogate the suspect, but Wen Rongjun has begun to have problems with her head, and she will definitely not be able to talk to her. The journalist promises to get the girl out of the cage. The black-haired woman eats an apple at work, walks to get grocery, not forgetting to watch Wanshu with the help of cameras. When she returns home, she shows the heroine a report where her friend is arrested. The heroine is hysterical and attacks the black-haired woman, but she fails. Fighting again, the chapter ends with the maniac sucking on Wanshu's finger stump. We are thrown into a flashback where we are shown the first murder, when Ren Pingsheng copied the murders from the heroine's novel. We are also shown a flashback of her difficult childhood, where she was beaten by her father. This still doesn't exonerate her, given that she killed an infant. We are shown how much she was obsessed with the main character back when she was in high school, well ending the flashback with the scene of her father's murder. Meanwhile, Bai Kai was able to find information about the main villain's childhood. Returning back to Wanshu's dungeon, she turns in a new chapter of the novel for inspection, and this time her jailer is satisfied with the result. As a reward, she puts an electric collar on the girl and gives her a nice dress. The ladies go to the cemetery, to the grave of Ren Pingsheng's father. She tells the heroine what we learned before in the flashback. A journalist arrives there and spots the couple. They manage to leave by car and decide to eat at a coffee shop. The girl gets a chance to escape, but she's apparently already starting to show Stockholm Syndrome, and she can't, even though the black-haired woman explicitly tells her to do so. It's killing the stalker who couldn't. They stand there chatting for another whole chapter, and the protagonist decides that as long as she submits, she will be loved. Bai Kai is literally the only one who wants to free. The police don't give a fuck. Even Wanshu herself apparently doesn't care about it anymore. Bai Kai tries, with the help of an acquaintance, to track down the novel's author by IP. Ren Pingsheng washes the main character, and they sit down together to write the last chapter of Death of Pasak. That was the name of the novel's main villain, Wanshu. Bai Kai sneaks into Wanshu's apartment and finds a diary that tells the details of their love affair with the teacher. We, like our heroine, are plunged into another flashback where we learn that her father most likely killed his wife. And the title of the last chapter pulls her out of this trance. The girl is hysterical because she thinks her tormentor is going to leave the girl. Wanshu refuses because she is in love with Ren Pingsheng, but the latter convinces her to continue writing. In the ending, her Pasik burns herself alive. Wanshu continues to act very silly, says she doesn't want to lose her teacher and falls asleep before she has had time to eat, and the journalist, having read the novel to the end, still tries to find Wanshu or Ren Pingsheng. She finds her in the university building. The brunette tells her that she only killed scum. I certainly understand bullying is horrible, but the crime is disproportionate to the punishment from the word go. It's as if the author is trying to justify our mystery murder with childhood trauma in the reader's eyes. After smoking a cigarette, the black-haired woman sends us into another flashback. She tells us a story from Bai Kai's life, in short, that she passed her friend in the final exams because she didn't want to prepare for them and decided to cheat. Ren Pingsheng tells us that this girl went down a crooked path after that, stealing and taking drugs, and ended up committing suicide. Before she burns herself to death, like the protagonist of Wanshu's novel, the black-haired woman offers to burn the journalist together to make her pay for what she did. After all, she, too, is a murderer. Bai Kai runs out into the street screaming, "I am not a murderer." Our heroine wakes up and realizes what is happening and runs to the scene of the fire. When she arrives there, she tries to rush into the building, but the journalist stops her, saying that all the horrors that happened were because of the black-haired woman. Wanshu screams that no one understands. Ren Pingsheng is the only one who cared for her, helped, loved, supported, and taught her how to resist looking life in the face. What nonsense, when Rongjun must be sad in a cage because of such words in her direction. Attempting to rush into the burning building, the heroine is stopped by the police. We are informed that Wanshu has been cleared of all suspicions, just like when Rongjun and Ren Pingsheng's corpse was found in the burning building. The athlete wakes up in a hospital bed, with our heroine sitting next to her, who has decided to copy Ren Pingsheng's clothing style. They rejoice and embrace. The last chapter, we see that Wanshu succeeded and became a cool writer. After the broadcast, we are shown the rest of the characters. When Rongjun became a police officer, Bai Kai is still a journalist. They agreed to sit in a cafe for a signing session. Our heroine gets a comment on her phone from the account Ren Pingsheng used. She liked the new novel. The end. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment with your impressions and like this video. It helps a lot in promoting the video and encourages me to release videos more often. See you in the new video.